against the, if you heard about the Kurdish king, whatever, Saladin. Saladin and yeah, Baldwin, the king of the Europeans, Crusaders.
Yep.
They had a fight here, battle, and they
related to
unfortunately they lost. If I can say that. They lost. This is a battle that won. In 1187, this is unfortunate. Since they lost in this war, then decline started. It started actually with the Crusaders. The Crusaders, they used to rule, take Israel, the whole West Bank, Gaza, including even like of Jordan. And then from this war, they pretty much lost the biggest part of the country. They dare to revolt and resist or to fight against and hoping that they kick out actually the Romans from this country and to have their own independence. They wanted to imitate actually the Maccabees when they kicked out actually the Greeks from this country. And they did well, they succeeded, Maccabees.
We're on top of Mount Arbel. This was the main passageway from the Sea of Galilee to Nazareth, and it went up.
And I should say, like, you know, the Jews even they tried, they revolted twice in 66 AD. They failed, and it was catastrophe. It was Holocaust for the Jewish people. Again, the peak of that revolt or that destruction, self-destruction, it was in Jerusalem when the temple is destroyed. But then later on, a few decades later, the Zealots one more time, they try one more time to revolt. That happened. It happened in 132. Jesus came, and he's the Messiah. He's the only one still, again, to today, he's the one with his words, as I say. Again, doesn't have to fight, as people did at that time, unfortunately. This is one of the reasons the people didn't believe in Jesus. But definitely, Jesus was revolutionary in the sense that actually changed the life of the people, nation, not only the country. Because the other people, in this country at least, they had their own different perspective about the Messiah. And this is definitely different. So, this is it, you know.
Here, and by the way, you don't have to, I should be standing over there so you can look at, you don't have to look at me, but look at the lake. But we could talk about the layers of history further from all that stuff with the Zealots and 1,000 years later into the time of the Crusaders. That battle just right over there. It's a whole layer of history itself with why the Crusades happened, but one of the reasons, of course, historically, they believed if we can Christianize and retake Jerusalem, the Holy Land, then Jesus will return. Pastor Shea had his shirt, was it yesterday? Bad theology hurts people. And now fast forward 1,000 years to our day and age, and this is pretty unique for us as Americans. If we can Christianize America, then we'll get ready for Jesus to. Bad theology hurts people. But that's another study for another time. I promise to talk about that later, right? Mark chapter 6, on a happier note. This is great with being here today and how this connects with what Pastor Troy was sharing with us on the Sea of Galilee. Mark chapter 6, verse 45 says, immediately he made his disciples get into the boat and go ahead of them to the other side, to Bethsaida, which is right over there, right? Now the immediately part of this, you need to know in context, this is just coming off of the feeding of the 5,000. Super busy day, super busy season of ministry for Jesus and the guys. By the way, it's a nice little detail, especially for us being here right now. John chapter 6, it tells us now the time, or the festival of Passover was near. Why is that relevant? Springtime. It probably would have felt like this. Like, what's the weather like? It's what it would have felt like during the feeding of the 5,000. So they go across to Bethsaida, or that he sends them there. Well, he dismissed the crowd. After he said goodbye to them, he went away to the mountain to pray. Here's where we got to be careful. Is it this mountain? Sure, fine. Maybe. It's an important lesson, and we'll get to this, I promise, tomorrow when we're at Gideon Spring. Here's an important Bible principle. Do not be dogmatic where the scriptures are not. It's definitely Mount Arbel. Okay, fine, but you know, maybe it's that one. Maybe it's that one. Maybe is it this? Maybe, but it fits. So we can picture it from here. But don't miss that. He went away to the mountain to pray. And in so many ways, this scene here in Mark 6, because he's about to come down the mountain, he's about to walk on water, this gives us, especially with yesterday, the connection, this perfect picture of Jesus being the Son of God, Son of Man. Fully God, fully man. Fully God, he walks on water. Fully man, he walked up the mountain to pray. To pray. When evening came, the boat was in the middle of the sea. Imagine that. Or turn around and look at it. Find the middle of the sea and the boat there, in the middle of the night. And he, Jesus, was alone on the land. Verse 48 of Mark 6 tells us this. He saw them. He saw them. He saw them being battered as they rowed because the wind was against them. What a prepositional phrase. And around 3 in the morning, he came toward them walking on the sea and wanted to pass by them. That's a whole nother conversation. Hey guys, I'll see you on the other side. That was, but yeah. It's just amazing stuff. For me, so much of this kind of gives me two things. It reminds me, this is some roundabout conversations, but we'll bring it back together in just a moment. It reminds me of Hebrews 7 and Romans chapter 8, where we discover that Jesus has resurrected, ascended on the right hand of the throne of God, where he ever lives to make intercession for us. What was Jesus doing on the mountain?
Making intercession.
What else was he doing? Verb? Looking at them, watching them. He saw them. And our Jesus, this is a nice high peak and get some perspective. Now take that up to heaven where he sees and he prays, he intercedes for us. And kind of unrelated to this, but all of it's related. The second thing, you'd find this in Genesis chapter 16. Remember with Hagar and Ishmael, as they were expelled from the camp, from the family, and the angel of the Lord found her, and she calls him El Roi. El Roi. And this would be the God who sees, for she said, have I really seen the God who sees me? So back to the mountain, where we are, back to the lake, back to the 12. How would you feel in that boat? Where's Jesus? Nowhere to be found. You ever feel like that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Your prayers are just kind of hitting the ceiling.
Yeah.
God, I suppose you're there. And how much of our prayer life is like this? I know you see me, I know you hear me, but it doesn't feel like it. But they're watching the whole time, about to intervene in a miraculous way. Jesus sees. Is it Mount Arbel? Sure, fine. It gives us a good
Why
picture.
not?
Why not? Why not? It's a good picture. But what a great perspective this provides. And I mean, we're getting this. It's like day 3 in terms of like full days. And the rest of us that got to hang out in Frankfurt, this is really day 3. But the rest of you, I'm not talking to you right now. But you get so much of like, here's this history and here's the Crusaders and all these layers of history, but then take it back to, he sees me. He knows. He hears. As they were struggling, and they should have learned, this was just coming off immediately after defeating about 5,000. He's able to perform miracles, right? And he's already calmed the storm. He's already done that. That already happened. You'd think like, okay, he's going to come. But is he? He sees, he knows, he's watching, he's aware. Your prayers are heard. He sees you. Mount Arbel is like this wonderful picture of both realities. He sees. There you go.
We are coming into Tiberias. This is all below sea level. The Sea of Galilee is actually 700 feet below sea level.
So we are entering actually the town of Tiberias. John the Baptist, he was in a jail in Jordan, in a fortress called Maccabees.
Oh my goodness. This is where Mary Magdalene came from. Look at this, the back. Yeah. That is just amazing.
Oh, thank you.
Look at narrow. Magdala. This is where Mary of Magdalene came from. She was named after where she came from. Look at this. This is like, look at that. Is that a street?
It almost looks like a Roman kind of street, right?
Yeah.
The rocks are smooth.
Oh my goodness, this was pretty newly excavated, right?
Yeah.
Can you say that?
That's what it said.
Yeah.
Our Lady Hotel. Yep. But this hotel is supposed to be right here. When they start like digging, they found like you got ruins here. So they stop. They call from the line Israel. You have when you see a road, you have to stop building and to call the authorities of Israel, of Antiquities, and to start like digging, research, to study the place. And this is what happened. They found synagogue and found other things here, other like homes basically, and market. So all the archaeologists agree, no debate at all, that this is for sure from Jesus' time. We talk about town from the first century BC, first century AD. And we talk about this town is one layer of occupation. One city has been and never recovered after that. It was destroyed like later on, but you never get like people coming and rebuilding new city. It's not like other places as we have seen in Magdala or other different places, or Chorazin, okay, or very important hustling city, or town of Magdala. And I should say, by the way, that this is even Magdala was much more bigger than Capernaum. Wealthier, more commercial, more business was going on like here because of some different reasons. First of all, one, you have to understand geography here. Look, we came from the Mount Arbel, just behind you, and to either Sea of Galilee. Anybody comes from east-west, Sea of Galilee to the sea, you have to come through Magdala. Magdala is part as well of the Via Maris. That Via Maris that goes north-south. It's an intersection here. It's a junction, actually. It's not only one road, but two roads. So one west-east, and one north-south. So you have the Via Maris road. By the way, the Tiberias that was built, one of the reasons what was built there, because it's located on the Via Maris, the highway. So there's something here, something with Capernaum, Bethsaida, and all the way to Damascus. This is a city that is built by the lake, on the lake. So we would have like fishing, as we know that already, like Capernaum. But you add, not only the fishing was going on here, it's something related to the fish. We have what we call it, they processed the fish. They pickled the fish. They salted fish. They dried fish, salted it, in what is called towers. You remember the meaning of Magdala? Magdala means tower. Round monumental buildings on which they used to keep, drying, hanging fish, drying them, salting them, so they would be able to export actually the fish from here to all over the Roman Empire, Egypt, wherever, Rome. And this is something unique about Magdala. That kind of processing, processed like food, fish, basically. By the way, they used to make here as well, it's one delicacy that was famous, Magdala is making it, fish sauce. Fish sauce. In the
Fish sauce.
They found in the Arbela, it was the largest, biggest Jewish town in the Sea of Galilee.
Wow.
Bigger than Capernaum, again.
Wow.
More important than Capernaum and bigger. Bigger and the biggest Jewish town. You might want to ask me, okay, what about Tiberias? Tiberias, you might think is the biggest city. It was the biggest city, bigger than Magdala. But remember what I said on the bus? Tiberias was the Gentile, basically, 2,000 years ago. Okay? Not, I'm talking about here, entirely Jewish community. It was the biggest, the largest.
city
but not
of
church.
Magdala.
From the first century.
From the first century.
There was no churches built here, remember, only from the first century, and that's it.
Wow.
Then it was like